And just like that, another contender has entered the fight. The fight for the future of WB and DC Studios. Sony and Paramount, well, Paramount Skydance have been trying, and yeah, somebody's gonna win it. How about big money, deep pockets Netflix? Because they have entered the fight and they want WB. Okay, so we got some pretty big news coming at us from multiple sources. And of course, if you guys have been keeping up with everything that's been reported, everything we found out in the last couple of weeks, really, you know that WB Discovery is in a very interesting position over the course of the next year. Not only is WB Discovery splitting into two companies, before that can be finalized, there are multiple, let's call them vultures, circling what is soon to be a corpse. Let's put it that way. The former corpse of WB, if you will. And whatever's left of it, if it gets split into two, will be bad news for anybody that might want to acquire either side. So there's been efforts by companies to try to buy WB Discovery before this split. We, of course, know that Sony is trying to move in, but of course they tried acquisitions before with partners that didn't go through. They were trying to go after Paramount, and that was a whole thing. It didn't obviously happen. They merged with Skydance. We know Paramount and Skydance is after WB Discovery and DC Studios because that's their most valuable brand now. Well, enter Netflix. So what we found out this morning is that Netflix is also now considering buying WB Discovery. So there's definitely something happening, because when this many companies start moving in this direction, they are up for sale. Just so we are clear on this. Some people are saying this is all like fake news and people making stuff up. No, this is real. They're going to be sold or they're going to split. One of the two is happening next year. So now we're going to talk about the Netflix effect and what would this mean. Now, automatically, I already know what people want to know. Who's going to win this? Potential Sony, Netflix, Paramount? Netflix. I'm just going to cut straight through it. Netflix will win. There is no bidding war if Netflix wants them. On the off chance that Universal enters this race, maybe there's a chance that the upbidding goes up to an insane level. But make no mistake about it, financially, Netflix is the one that will win. Now, there's a couple problems here that are very big and apparent, such as Netflix constantly making profits by writing stuff off by not making profits, and them literally kneecapping and hamstringing creatives, taking forever to put out new stuff, prices rising, them restricting things, less original content than ever. It's constantly getting worse. So many things that are problematic. But at face value, what you need to understand, if there is a bidding war, Netflix wins automatically. Their pockets are lined. More investors will jump to support Netflix because their stock is high. And yeah, it is volatile, but that doesn't matter because stock will then skyrocket because they'll have all these properties, including DC Comics and DC Studios, which also means they then gain so much more, like the game stuff and all these IPs. And think about it, the transfer of the Harry Potter IP, you know, that show then debuting on Netflix. Think about that for a second. Like, it's a big deal. Like, let's just be clear about that. Also, DC shows, right? And DC movies. This is a completely different beast than what most people understand. Now, there are some people wondering whether or not Netflix would actually like remain sort of hands off or something like that. That's not going to happen. No matter what company buys them. Remember, I've been saying this from the beginning and it's true every time. You don't just take over and go, well, they did a good job. Let them keep doing what they're doing. No, you as a new owner, you put your foot down and say, you do what I say because I know better. That's how it goes. Everything will be restructured, DC Comics and DC Studios as a whole. But let's talk about the possibility of an independent DC Studios and The return of a DC-only streaming service? So something that many people have brought up, and I've been wanting to talk about it in a Ask Our Meme, but this is honestly, I think the best way to tackle it right here for this section. And that's, what if DC Studios was to go independent, and what if they brought back their own streaming service? And if you guys don't remember, 2018, 2019, we saw the DC Universe. Titans, Swamp Thing, they announced a Lois and Lex TV series. I mean, there was a whole lot. Stargirl, they were going to develop a whole universe. But then, of course, acquisitions and sales stopped all that dead in their tracks. Could something like this happen? So first and foremost, this would mean that if this sale happens, that WB would allow DC and DC Studios and Peter Safran and James Gunn to go independent. Now, let's say this was to happen. They would then need to raise capital with partners. Sort of like how Marvel Studios found a bunch of partners that gave them $550 million for phase 1. And they were like, well, if you don't make this money back, we own you. If you do, perfect. And that's why they made partnerships with, Paramount, with Universal, out of necessity. DC doesn't have that luxury anymore. That's not going to happen. They're not going to go independent because they're part of the sale. Now, the potential of a DC streaming service returning, 100% not going to happen. There's not enough value in it. I know some people will say there is. They're going to get angry I'm saying this. DC on its own is not as valuable as you think. Neither is Marvel, neither is Star Wars. Neither one can survive independently with their own service. Because if they were to, they need constant content, which would mean that you need an original show airing every single week for years on end. The amount of content you have to produce would be CW level of quality, and we're talking the bad CW stuff, to get enough of a turnaround. They're not going to sacrifice all their quality just to be able to maintain this, on top of finding partners. That's just not an option for anybody involved. At the end of the day, what you need to know is DC Studios will be sold as an asset as part of WB. And wherever they go, they will be treated like a top dog. Unfortunately, things will change. You just need to know this. There were some people that were naive enough to believe that Fox was still going to operate the way they did before. No, because if they did, you would still have terrible Alien and Predator content. But Disney took over and put top people on it. What will happen is that DC Studios will appoint new heads everywhere. There will be a shift, assessment of product, and eventually they will move on to do what they do best. Give us a new season of a DC series every 3 years, 6 episodes split into 2 parts, and call it a day. Thank you for checking out that video, and thank you for your continued support. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you will, and if you're so inclined and would like some additional content from us, which includes unfiltered content and bonus discussions, we do offer it exclusively in our member section. We hope to see you there. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.